Now, let me tell you something. If you don't think I don't have the full financial report, then you're crazy. I have the absolute full financial report, and it's being translated as we speak. Now, there are some full translations that are done, and the translations that are done, we will talk about. But if you don't think Mr. 98% right all the time wasn't on top of this, then you're absolutely insane. I told you yesterday that I had it and I was deciphering it. And I was working through the financials to bring you the absolute truth. The shocking revelations that are going on in Sony's world will send shockwaves through the fan base and ultimately the fanboys. You don't care a damn thing about anything else going on at Sony, but you care about that PlayStation now, don't you? And Mr. 98% right all the time has constantly told you, hashtag no PlayStation 6 is absolutely real. We're going to run it up on these bums. I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. And Miss Lin Tao definitely agrees with everything that I have to say.
100億強のインパクトを受けております。で、これは、ほぼ想定通りで、猶予期間であったことと、戦略在庫を活用して、2級以降の見込みよりは、小さい。
Let's leave that alone for now, because I have a lot of commentary to go over. You boys are absolutely in trouble. And what I suggest you do, like I always suggest you do, is buckle up and get ready, because this is going to be one hell of a show.
What's a man or a king? What's it saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game, but you what said as you claim it. It's that Xbox, spin the block, his legs slide. Fast talker, no wriggling, moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much make it a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the scene, you know that it's scorching. What's a man or a king? What's it saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game, but you what said as you claim it.
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted, this what you wanted, huh?
Peace and blessings, and welcome back to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, The King. Now, the PlayStation financials has come out, and we're going to dig a lot more deeper into those. These guys have told you about what they shipped and what they've sold, and how what glitters is not really gold. And speaking of what glitters is not really gold, but actually shines like one, go to Advanced GG. Put in code Iron Lords at checkout to get 10% off. Now, you won't get 10% off of this bad boy, because this bad boy here, oh my God, this is premium. Heavy base, keeps everything cold, and the top has a shaker component that actually keeps whatever you have inside safe. Look at that top. Beautiful stuff. Enough about me, everything about you. Listen, remember, use code Iron Lords at the checkout and get 10% off. Right now, I'm taking hydration. Advanced GG, you know what it is, B. And shout out to Gunner. Yeah, keeping the guy looking fly. Always. Put in code Iron Lord at checkout to get 10% off at Gunner. Now, you see how I diversified that, how I showed you that you were able to do many different things at one time, but still be you? Well, shout out to Sony for finally getting it, for finally understanding that you need to do more, because monthly active users is where it's at. Now, I've always told you that Sony is Mr. Me Too, and all it did was take Xbox and Microsoft to make them bucks. But in making that cash, they got a little bit ahead of themselves because they didn't lock down the things they needed to lock down. But Sony understands how to play the game, and Sony is in for the full slate. I'm talking about the orders that they're putting in is crazy. Now, we don't know who filled that role yet over there for their executive manager to make games affordable, plentiful, and available on every console beyond the PlayStation. But what we do have today is we have cancellations of games, some games that's on hold, some absorption of companies. That sounds like a lot, but we also have these financials, and we also have games missing the PlayStation platform. Now, I know you're saying, King, what the hell are we talking about here? I'm just here to give you the real. Now, Marcus Aurelius always told you, to offend a strong man is to tell him a lie. To offend a weak man is to tell him the truth. Well, I'm going to offend a lot of you weak asses today. Stick around. The fun is about to begin. Microsoft is bringing the Xbox Copilot to the Windows Game Bar, in a closer step to bringing the unification between PC and Xbox. Xbox is playtesting its Xbox Copilot inside the Microsoft Windows 11 Game Bar. Copilot is now on operating system iOS and Android. Earlier this year, they started bringing that to those individuals. Now, they're bringing it to Windows 11. Now, they started testing it out, and you guys can get a chance to test it out. Now, the countries that they are testing it out in right now is the USA, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Singapore, and a few other regions. Microsoft isn't making it available for the UK right now and other European markets yet, but it's planning to do so by the end of the year. This allows you to have your sidekick, your buddy, your co-pilot, your AI sidekick, your friend. This operating system is going to fundamentally change the way you game and how you perceive gaming. You could be a non-gamer and have a gaming-centric AI helping you, guiding you along the way. Remember what we showed you at Overwatch 2? Microsoft's and Xbox plans to make AI a friendly companion on your gaming adventures is a whole lot closer than you think. With titles like this can be absolutely misleading. Microsoft cancels another Xbox game just cause developer contraband is in the report. Now, Jason Schreier came out and said that the game had problems and some stuff was going on with it early on. Now, remember, the game was supposed to be coming out for the PC and Xbox Series S and X. Well, we all know that the PC and the Xbox Series S and X is in one unit. But they also said that, Stephen Totelo, meanwhile, said Avalanche has stopped active development on Contraband, but didn't use the word cancel. The report also said the game is now on hold, citing a source that said the project was in works for 5 years. 5 years is a very long time for a game to not show the promise that is necessary in order to take it to the next level. Maybe they didn't have faith on the game. Maybe they thought the game could not deliver on the promise. Open world, co-op game. Is it going to be just Cores 5? Is it going to be another Primal Extinction? What would this be? Now, I do know that they do have a hell of a pedigree over at Avalanche Studios. And me personally, I give them the absolute benefit of the doubt. Their resume is absolutely impeccable. I love the majority of the games that they have put out. Rage is being one of the top of the games that I believe that I love the most from them. And I know you're going to say, wow, I didn't know that they did Rage. Yeah, they actually did Rage. So Contraband was described as a co-op smuggler's paradise set in a fictional world of the 70s. They announced the trailer with the song Steely Dan's Do It Again, which debuted it early in the 70s. It continues in the open world position posted at the company's website for Contraband. but it's possible that they will be removed in due time. The game could be truly canceled, but right now it's on hold. Right now, the website is still live over at Avalanche. The reported cancellation of Contrabands comes not long after Microsoft laid off of 9,000 people, including the cuts at Xbox that led other game cancellations and at least one studio closure at the time. It was reported that Microsoft was executing a portfolio review with some games not going forward or losing funding. Jason Schreier said today, August 7th, that Kojima's new game, OD, remains in development. Now, that was one of the games that people thought quite possibly couldn't make it out the door. Other games that got canceled was Rare's Everwild and Perfect Dark Reboot, which also saw a studio shutter. Reportedly, the new MMO from ZeniMax and online games also, got canceled. Listen, we don't need to rehash all the games that did get canceled. We also know that this game isn't canceled, it's just put on hold. Everything doesn't need to be made to completion just because you want it to. Sometimes a studio can't deliver on the promise that it set for. If you can't deliver on a promise, then you can get cut and funding can stop. You must show that you're able to make executables. And if Avalanche couldn't deliver on the promise of getting Contraband over the line, then Microsoft and Xbox definitely can cut funding. There is no obligation for a company to keep sinking money into a franchise that is not bearing the fruit that is necessary in order for it to be successful. One of the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games come out next week for the Nintendo Switch and Xbox. There have been too many Ninja Turtle games recently to count over the past few months, to be honest with you. We've seen so many Ninja Turtle games in such a short period of time. It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles overload. But right now, you have a strategy game, a turn-based strategy game that is coming out in the next week. And it's going to be exclusive to the Xbox and the Switch. For the first time, it's skipping the PlayStation, which I find funny right now. You can play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tactical Takedown on the PC right now. It'll drop on the Xbox and the Switch on August 14th. No word yet on the PlayStation 5, when it will arrive, if it will arrive or not. But Tactical Takedown is the latest from the Ninja Turtles world. If you're into strategy, turn-based RPGs, it's there for you, bro. Me personally, it's not really up my alley. See what I did there? But again, if you're a Ninja Turtles fan, I don't think you'll skip this. I think this is something that you'll dig into. The wait is almost over, and I can't wait for the official announcement. But this is not stopping official leakers. Them dudes that's just like leaking stuff that are leaking all over the place. Pause. This is not stopping them from getting this information to you guys. The Xbox ROG Ally X is going to hit the streets very, very soon, with the official announcement coming in the next week or so. I think it's 2 weeks, right? Where Gamescom is. Well, they've letting the cat out the bag. Apparently, the European release is October 16th. And this is going to be crazy. Now, I definitely want the AMZ Z2A processor with 16 gigabytes of RAM, 15 gigabytes of SSD storage. Oh man, this is gonna be crazy. But I want the extreme one. Nah. I want the extreme one. I want the extreme one with the A1Z2 Extreme processor and 24 gig of high-speed RAM. This is gonna be crazy for the kid. Now they're talking about it's supposed to be 780 pounds. I don't know. I don't know. We're going to find out the true price of this thing. Listen, there's already a G stack sitting on the side. Black, let it happen. Why? Black, let it fly now. Black, yeah. Can't wait for this Xbox Asus ROG Ally X. You can sit there and tell me that you're waiting for Xbox's official. I want Xbox's official handheld. I don't care nothing about this. I'ma tell you, mind your business and stay out of my business and let me handle my business with this incredible handheld. Man, listen. Times are changing, baby. Everybody's doing things different. Ain't that right, Sony? If you want to see the full videos of this, go to Fusion Xbox testing on YouTube. They're going to give you the full beta of the Series S and the Series X, so you can see the differences between the two. And here's how the two stack up. The Xbox Series S and X, has some different key features. So firstly, the Xbox Series X appears to run up to 4K in balance mode and 1440p in performance mode, but the analysis points out that dynamic resolution scaling is probably being used to adjust this along the way. The game clearly looks great on the Xbox Series S and X in any case. The balance mode seems to stick at a lock 60, while the performance mode appears to hit 120 frames quite easily at times. Although Fusion Xbox testing said this mode has a lot of screen tearing, can affect frame tests, is likely intended to be used with VRR support displays. Xbox Series S Battlefield 6 still looks impressive despite the resolution and texture quality being definitely reduced. While the first-person shooter seems to stick to mostly 60 frames per second during actual gameplay, the analysis estimate the resolution is at 1080p with dynamic scaling in play, and there's no separate performance mode for the Series S. You'll surely get more specifics on this when Digital Foundry gets their hands on it. Shout out to Digital Foundry for their independence. But again, if you were looking towards this title and you didn't know if you should upgrade your device, your Xbox, should you get a Series S, whatever, hopefully this was able to help you out with the most anticipated Battlefields in years. I think they got like 3 million people just down for it already. This is crazy. PlayStation has shipped 80 million consoles. How many of those consoles is actually sold? Nobody will actually know the truth behind that. This puts it behind the 360 at 84 million and well on its way to overtaking the PlayStation 3 and lifetime unit sales. Those are consoles that actually sold. We're talking about a console that has shipped 80 million. Don't ever get it twisted. All right, so financially, for the current financial year during which this time the PlayStation has only sold 2.5 million consoles, downturn from the 2.8 from the previous quarter. So they didn't reach the expectations of the previous quarter. They only sold 2.5 million consoles this quarter. And compared to the same period of time last year, however, the company has actually shifted around 100,000 more console in the last 3 months compared to last year. So you got to look at the numbers, shipped, sold, look at the numbers. Sony is has sold approximately 66 million PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games this quarter. That's 7 million of which was first-party titles, and that's around 12 million year-on-year increase overall software sales. Digital accounted for 83% of the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games sold in this quarter, which is a larger share than in any 3-month period of the previous year. Of course, they're moving closer to digital on everything, and of course, they're counting the PlayStation 4 sales in with the PlayStation 5 sales. The last few years saw Sony shift units towards the live service. They went close to live service, and that thing went bad for them. But again, everyone is talking unit sales because it's really not as rosy as everybody wants it to look. Shifted units, that means shipped, but actually sold 2.5. That's pretty good. One of my favorite guys on Twitter, Derek Strickland, Sony is now moving away from hardware-based business and is now focusing more on community-based engagement, which prioritizes users and spending. Now, I don't know where I've heard this before, but let me continue. Sony is shifting from a hardware-focused business to a community-driven model, prioritizing monthly active users and cross-platform game releases. This strategy includes breaking exclusivity on titles like Helldivers 2 to expand its ecosystem, boost engagement, and increase profitability through software and live services beyond the PlayStation 5 hardware. Now, that is exactly what Xbox has been doing. Sony is moving on to the next phase of the PlayStation business. In the recent Q1 2025 earnings call, Sony's management said PlayStation is moving away from being a hardware-based business into a more of a community business, potentially indicating that Sony could break exclusivity on more PlayStation Studio titles. Sony's VP, Hayakawa, affirming that the company now prioritizes users' engagement rather than raw unit sales. In the gaming business, we're moving away from hardware-centric business into more of a community-based engagement business as we move more into entertainment and creation. The stability and productivity and performance is increasing, Hayakawa says. Sony has conquered the console sales. In the past 2 generations, PlayStation is shifted 80 million units. Hopefully they can sell as much units as they shift. Sony is shifting gears to maximize returns in this new bustling ecosystem. So far, the plan is working. PlayStation users are more valuable than the PlayStation 4 users. Estimated $800 plus over the previous generation. Sony wants growth through PlayStation sales may be reaching its peak, and PlayStation 4, for example, is definitely not hitting the mark. The PlayStation 5 Pro and the PlayStation 4 Pro are close to similar levels in exactly where they are. That lets you know they ain't really all that good. The shift has got Sony to prioritize monthly active users. The best way I say, and like I've told you before, Sony's destiny, if you will, is to finally give up this fake exclusivity, bend the knee, and put those games everywhere. Because you're Mr. Me Too, and I know how you do. Sony has finally given up on Bungie and has integrated them into the company. 4 months after the disastrous beta of Marathon, Sony loses patience with Bungie and does what many fans have long feared. How's it been going for Bungie so far? Marathon showed gameplay in 2025. Unfortunately, the test phase for about 4 months ago did not convince players that it was good. Accusations of plagiarism has plagued this game. The developers have lost players for a long time. Expensive skins, recycled content, and handling feedback dissatisfiably. Last year, there was also 450 layoffs, and almost all the projects were put on hold, except for Destiny 2 and Marathon. Recent leaks show that Bungie wants to improve something in the shooter and its reputation. Sony fully integrates Bungie into its own studios. What Sony is doing now, as confirmed by Sony's chief financial advisor, Lin Tao, the company wants more control over Bungie. Sony plans to fully integrate Bungie into its own development team at PlayStation Studios. During the Q&A session at the investors, that took place during the financial report, Tao answered the question of how to deal with Bungie's management. Initially, Sony had created an independent environment for Bungie, but now that these freedoms will be presumably abolished. What does this mean for Marathon? Tao also was asked, and what will happen to Marathon if there was a worst case scenario where the shooter is canceled? The CFO replied that they were still sticking to the plans to release it next year in March 31st, 2026. Currently, there's no plans for the Extraction shooter to be canceled, according to Tao. Bungie would be making successful progress with the changes in Marathon. They are confident that they could announce the final release in the fall. All that was a long-winded way of saying Bungie is done. Yeah, Bungie. King Kong Bundy is dead. It's absolutely over for these dudes. I'm telling you, Bungie has met its final fate. They've done this a lot. They played keep away for a long time. Now it's over. And they continue to do the same things all the way to the bitter end. Stealing from fans, allegedly, overspending, and not giving the content that is necessary. When they're feeded to the fire, they just burnt alive. Now, I'm not going to lie. Contraband to me could have been something good. Co-op, stealth, shooter, stealer, open world game, Smuggler's Run. I guess they was able to sell that to them. But for 5 years and don't have a deliverable, I think that puts you in jeopardy, man. And I think that puts you on a hold and wait and see thing. Because when you have other games actually making it to their deliverables and you're not making it to your deliverables, then you need to be looked at. Just the same way Bungie and Marathon needed to be looked at. Just the same way Sony said, you know what, Bungie, we're going to have to absorb you because you're running around willy-nilly doing too many different things. And none of those things are conducive to us winning. They purchased them at a premium, $3.5 billion. They overspent for them actually, and didn't get back the return off investment that they were seeking. Right now, Destiny isn't really doing well, even though they're doing all they possibly can. Now, with Marathon needing to usurp Destiny, I don't think that's about to happen. I think that next year, March date of 2026 comes and goes without Marathon actually launching. But with Bungie being fully absorbed into Sony Studios and hopefully becoming a support studio, so they have working knowledge on putting games onto the Xbox platform, Bungie can actually show how valuable they are. You can't have Nixus doing it all. All the games coming over to everybody, Sony needs to have studios that can actually chip in. Now, with Sony's financials coming out, they always present a beautiful looking picture. 80 million shipped. But you shipped 80 million, but now all of a sudden, monthly active users is the metrics. Why is that? Why is that, you say, King? Because obviously shipping units and selling units is two different things. Now then, when you did the breakdown, you actually saw they sold 2.5 million this quarter. And that is 100,000 more than the previous quarter, but less than last year's quarter of 2.7. You got to start looking at the numbers. They tell you what the sales are. They tell you what the ships are. Ships across the world is not sold. So you pumping your fists talking about, oh, PlayStation sold 80 million. Calm down. The sales numbers will indicate that if 66 million units of software were sold across all the units that are available on the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4, with 83% of that stuff being digital, stands the chance to say that potentially Sony is looking at a larger problem than anything. With a lot of those units being sold by Microsoft this last couple of quarters, you got to really look at it. Now, there's third-party sales. Now, only 12 million of those sales was first-party titles. You sold 66 million, but only 12 million was between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 was first-party titles. That's telling you the bigger story, the bigger problem. The reason why Sony is shifting to monthly active users, because that is actually up. That is up, I think it's like 8%. And that's good, because you need more monthly active users in order to get more money. If you notice, they put a number value on how much the PlayStation 5 people are worth more than the PlayStation 4. And that was $800. So that means for every PlayStation 5 owner versus a PlayStation 4 owner, you are more valuable to them post-purchase. This is the reason why your portal doesn't need a PlayStation 5. Hashtag no PlayStation 6. You know how it is. We're going to run it up on these bumps. I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. Now, well, Hawakawa is telling you that they're moving away from a console-centric situation and moving forward to gaming beyond the box. Shout out to Wilmy Hood and the team. That name is so apropos for this, because gaming beyond the PlayStation box means you want to be everywhere the gamers are. PlayStation is hiring an executive to manage money, to manage games, and to manage and facilitate the equal disparity or distribution of the workload between all development houses, like Bungie, who is now part of PlayStation, completely absorbed. Kind of like Ben Studios, kind of like Nixus. With Nixus running the point, quarterback if you will, and bringing all the games over to the Xbox, shout out to Helldivers. We only have 19 more days left, and we can play that on Xbox. I know you're going to join in the fight like we are, so we can help these fledgling PlayStation dudes continue to do what they couldn't do, but we know we can do, is push back the horde. We see extra enemies. But PlayStation understands the assignment, and I commend them. They sat there, they were on the board, it was solemn, it was quiet. I will have that fully translated for all you guys that will go up for members first. But you guys know one thing, if you don't know this, you know. Hashtag no PlayStation 6. I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. We're going to run it up on these bums. They will not get away with what they try to get away with. Now, everybody now wants to do kumbaya. Nah. Just run me my money. Just give me my money. With Game Pass still being the greatest gaming service in gaming today, it's just a matter of time before the PlayStation ecosystem turns to day and date. With day and date on the PC looming right around the corner, with the Xbox being a hybrid PC, that means day and date on Xbox. Well, you might as well do what you got to do. You already got the job opening for it. You might as well just make it happen. You deny the inevitable. You see, it's great seeing you bend the knee like this. It's great the way you can form words to make it more palatable to those people that are thinking that they actually have a shot. Me personally, I know you for who you are and for who you've always been. You will never change. You will always constantly hide the truth from those individuals because you know the truth hurts the weak. And those weak individuals will always fall prey to the pain that is the truth. And here on Xbox Frontline News, I'm Lord King David, and I'm here to bring you the truth. Now, did you want me to lie to you? That will offend all the strong individuals out there. So I have to give you the truth. And hopefully this will toughen you up. PlayStation is bringing the whole slate to everyone. With verbiage like monthly active users, you sound like Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer himself. I was once told that using the metrics of monthly active users means they're not selling. Come on, King. Xbox isn't selling. That's why they have to use monthly active users. No. Xbox sold 36 million units. Sold, not shipped. Sold to consumers. What is PlayStation like 10 more million than them? Sold, not shipped. The numbers will indicate so. But listen, you only brought one console. So take your one console having ass and go play some games. Because I understand those numbers made you feel warm and fuzzy. But if you actually knew how to read and know math, you would know what shipped and sold actually means. Well, this is Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. I drop videos daily. And if you liked anything here, and I mean anything, like, follow, and subscribe. Share it out to a friend. And let everyone know. You know where to play because you know where to go. You go where players play and winners win. And do like I do every day. Try to play the Game Pass.